Better call this meeting of Jefferson County Board of Supervisors to order for Monday, August 25th. Right? So, would entertain a motion to acknowledge the minutes for August 18th,
So moved.
front and back.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hasn't gone yet. Then what do they do with? So Dave, what's
Yep.
going on in your world?
We're finally found the ghost in our fire alarm system. It's a relay that's placed later this afternoon in the elevator room, so at least we know what the hell's going on with that.
Yeah,
I talked to Josh with a tunnel door. He's still waiting on materials. He's thinking he should have everything in by mid-September. It's going, once, and they're shipping the door at the same time that they're shipping the arch up above. So
Okay.
that's all, that can all be installed at one time. But once the arch comes in, then it's gonna have to go to the roll, or once the materials come in, then it has to go to the roll former, and then it have to go to the glazer with glass, and so can't do anything without materials. He assured me we were gonna get it done before the snow started flying. That's kind of what I did.
okay.
Haven't heard back from Rod yet regarding the backup generator or whatever we're gonna do with that. He's still looking into that mess. Pretty much it. I did tell Susie a week ago that when we had those branches removed from that locust out there by the picnic table, we now have a clear line of sight between the camera at the county attorney's office and our north entrance.
Oh,
So we have, if we ever have anything that happens out there, it can see it, so, which is nice.
they'll pick up suspicious characters in orange and black shirts with beards.
I think all it's ever gonna see is me
Well,
coming
you
in
know,
here for
the
all
ones-
kinds of odd hours.
The guy that can't park in the lines, that guy.
Yeah, we had them removed. Yeah, yeah.
And now
And
that,
now we're parking over here.
now that I'm starting to get caught up a little bit, I can start paying more attention to some of this project work.
Okay.
I'm about 85% with deep cleaning the entire building right now. So that's just about done.
Okay.
Other than that, there isn't too much is new.
Anything with, for, I guess what I want to do at this point, since we're talking maintenance, I did have a conversation again with the gentleman that had an interaction with her door. We had not received a revenue reimbursement
Hmm.
last week. Did talk to him, and then I subsequently received, after talking to him, subsequently received a phone call from Two Rivers Bank, Mount Pleasant, I presume. And it's ignored. And talked to the gentleman there, sent him a copy of the invoice, and he stated they would get a check cut. And the gentleman called me again this morning. I indicated to him that I had spoken with the bank and they were cutting the check. So that's where we are at on that. And I don't believe that the gentleman was trying to bail on us. I think there was just and I did hear from the bank and he indicated that there were funds available. So.
What does the bank have to do with an individual?
It was over $2,500.
And that's just the way it is now.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I'm like, most of the people here, I grew up during a time when a bill like that was just absolutely outrageous. But
Yeah.
even I'm starting to get used to it, and it's nuts, absolute nuts.
Well, the gearbox alone was $1,500, so doesn't take long at that rate to get over the top. So, yeah. I mean, I just had a thermostat housing, which was plastic, by the way, a hose, and one of those plastic reservoirs you put antifreeze in. Repaired in my daughter's car, $448. No unknown. No, I imagine the majority of that was probably labor, but I
Yeah,
mean,
but replacing a thermostat has got to be one of the most.
well, it's on the.
Well, yes,
it's
but
on the-
depending on the car, sometimes you have to take half the top of the engine off to get it.
Yeah, it was a Cracker
anymore.
Jack
It's true.
car, so. Anyway, anything else for Dave? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Dwayne?
Good morning, supervisors. Update on the bridge, all of the site work grading is complete. There will be nothing going on there this week because the next step is guardrail and that contractor will not be until next week. So we've got the guardrail to do, stripes to put on, and seating.
You're driving the guardrail?
Straighten the road. Okay. So we're getting close, but I don't know when the painters are scheduled to be in. Guardrail should take a week. It's not that much, but the crash barriers take a little bit longer to install than normal cars. Most of the road department is over on Ginkgo Avenue, northwest of Vedic City, removing a bridge and installing their twin tank cars. We've had the tank cars in the county for 2 months now, but we couldn't. Well, we were working on the 165th project and we wanted to roll immediately into Ginkgo, but because of there being residences on the other side of the bridge that were pretty much landlocked, we had to make sure that we had a viable window without rain. So we have a week forecast without rain. The guys are going to work 4 10s so that we can try and get it done in 4 days instead of 5, just to mitigate the chance that Mother Nature may try and rain on us in the window. That's really, well, they should finish the patching on 146 today. I've been pestering Helen on trying to find a date or get them to commit to a date when they're going to show up to complete their work. And then last week we talked, and I've got it on the agenda for the public hearing on the rumble strip in the ordinance. And I gave you guys a page out of our current road safety action plan that we just had as part of the federal grant. This is for the segment of Liberty Road that we're working on next year. The thing that I had never noticed before, it's a newer safety feature, is installing a rumble strip panel prior to curb segments, if the curbs are a accident issue. So on our Libertyville Road project, I'm seriously considering not rumble strip panels at the stop sign in Libertyville, but rumble strip panels before the S curves there at the bottom by Juniper. Then you'd have one at each end, just to notify the travelers that there's a change in circumstance coming up. So you would install them prior to the S-curve signs, so people maybe look around and see that there's a curve in advance. And I don't need any action from you guys on that. It was something that when I was going through the DOT's literature on rumble strip panels, I saw that and I thought, well, gosh, I've never occurred or encountered those in my travels, but to me, it makes sense. And we do have lane departure accidents on those
That is,
S-curves.
there's a little deaths right there.
So I think that would be a good use of our market funds that we're using on that project. And I don't, it's not a huge expense to stick a concrete panel patch in two areas. That was no action required, is basically just for your guys' information. And 2 years from now, if somebody complains about why the heck we stick those noisy things where we did,
It might be a prairie dog. It's never been a prairie dog.
yeah.
Well, in that particular area,
Be the meadows in the creek.
I was gonna say it's underwater most of the time.
Mhm. That's really all I have.
So I have, been doing some thinking over the weekend, which I know is dangerous and I understand that. And I apologize ahead of time. But, we went up and saw, which is on the agenda, we went up and saw a particular property Friday. And we went up Pleasant Plain Road, and I'm not gonna rehash all of the whys and therefores and all of that, and I do think that the road has improved significantly, but I also believe that north of Cambridge is better than south of Cambridge. And I guess my question is, besides doing some of the things that you talked about on Friday, what would it take financially to, I don't know. I'm not trying to be flippant here, but to put a paint job on it, to put a seal on top, something that maybe could, I understand we've had some conversations and we had conversations about honor setting and that you were going to resolve that issue or attempt to resolve that issue. It concerns me a little bit during the winter time if we get water and then it freezes in those spots, and probably too late to do anything this year, but in your toolbox, what is there out there short of a full on 3-inch overlay? Is there anything that we can do that would change that, and what would it look like financially?
Well, I ran numbers on doing the patch and the 3/8 chip seal. And I'm kind of doing spot areas where the rutting is. And I want to say we can do that for in the $100,000 range. And that's, I've asked Pelling to price that for me, and that would put basically put a 3/8 inch aggregate chip seal over the whole thing, which would get you back to a uniform surface texture. And if we can do that while the contract's open, we can do that with farm to market money. And that I would much rather approach it that way. So that we're not impacting our local maintenance money. And and you could put a fog seal over the top of that to make it all black. And with the 3/8 inch chips, you have a tighter surface, so you wouldn't have the feel of being a gravel road as much as, because the reason that is as rough as it is we put chips on it when the sand was getting picked up and thrown. So we chipped it to try and get a layer of something between the tires and that oil laden sand. So the tires weren't picking it up and throwing it. So, the areas where the tires were still picking it up, you've got areas of rutting and where the sand was picked up. And then the areas where it didn't get picked up, you've got that aggregate worked into it. So you've got a real uneven surface, but at the time, it was the best solution we had for a more or less an emergency. The appearance and ride and even the planarity of the surface is horrendous. It's a lot lower quality finished product than up on 110.
Right.
Yeah.
So if we do this, would they also put that, like, I don't know, for lack of a better way of putting it, that black seal over or can we have that done at the same time?
Yeah, you would do that basically a day after you did the chip seal.
And how long would the road be? I mean, would it be,
You would do it under flaggers.
okay, so you do one side and then the other side?
Yeah, and I think on that, you would break the work zones at Cambridge. So you would do one lane from Cambridge North, then do the other lane from Cambridge North. So that coming out of Cambridge, you always had a way to go where you weren't. And then do the same thing going south. So you don't have as long a work zone that makes for shorter cycle times on the pilot car, and also gives you a non-work area to turn, a non-work direction to turn if you don't want to.
So how long do you think before they could get that done?
I've got to get them to return my phone calls first,
Okay.
but I'm working on that. I called them week before last, called them again last week. I called them first thing this morning. I'll call them again after this meeting.
And so does that serve?
Yeah. It's this time of year, you're going to have more time, more setup time than you would in the middle of July. So you're probably going to have half a day that you're going to want that. Just
So then how would we handle that as far as traffic goes? Notify all of us. I mean, we can notify Cambridge, that's fairly straightforward. I'm talking about, do we divert it to one side? How do we do that? Or would we have our light set up?
no, they'd have a flagger set up.
Well, I mean, when you say half a
We
day,
have a flagger set up for that time, that entire time.
okay,
Yeah, that's
okay. Well, I just wasn't sure how we'd handle that, so, but we are gonna move forward with that then.
Yeah.
And, I mean, there isn't anything that we could discuss or consider today, because there's nothing on the
Yeah.
agenda, but I was looking at what our financial options may be, and we've got some flexibility going into the next budget year, was the reason I asked the question, in terms of paying off some debt and that sort of thing. That's the only reason but this sounds like we could put a seal over the top of that.
make everything a uniform color. And if we get, get the spot patching areas in and then the uniform surface over it, that'll go a long way towards, improving the things that are wrong with that. It's not ideal, but it's the best I can come up with. Your other options, you can come through with a micro seal or a micro surfacing, which they've done some of it in Iowa. I'm not happy with the way it performs over time. So I think this is our best our best bet. And the nice thing about that is we can do that as part of this existing farm to market project. Otherwise I would have to re-let another project, and that would put you not into next year, but year after next. So,
Well, that's all, yeah, and always a consideration too, is we don't want to push it out any further, really, than we're gonna have to.
if we can get it if we can get it taken care of this fall, I think that's,
And put the blade on this stuff won't hurt it. Okay. I know we talked about that when we were going up the road. One time you asked the question about.
Yeah.
And you said that blades or whatever have changed significantly, and things are done slightly differently in the past, so. So when we hit you, well, obviously you've got.
I'll keep you posted.
Okay,
Yeah, let's,
all right. Discuss and consider Trevor Henshaw driveway. I don't know if there's anybody online or representing Trevor here. I don't see him, obviously. So again, we during our road tour, we stopped up at Pleasant Plain and reviewed that driveway, and there is a I don't want to say drop off, but a significant slope or whatever you want to call it, lip. But that's there, at least in my opinion, that's there because we didn't want to apron that off into that concrete driveway. Dwayne indicated we could gentle that slope if they were amenable to putting a wider tongue apron in the driveway. But I had, this is not, again, I reiterate, this is not because of anything that anybody said. I guess it was just a picture that I had in my mind. And when actually being there and viewing it, we really didn't encroach upon the driveway, on the concrete driveway. So, and, the issue was we had a circumstance out west of, and not west of town because it was still within the city limits. And we expressed some reservation about applying going beyond that because it was still within the city limits and technically it would be a city issue. So we got to be careful in that regard as well, at least in my opinion, because the other end of the spectrum is also in the city. So.
Well, the one west of town, after I talked to him again after being out there, he's really not complaining, he said. Well, I took it that he was when he first called me. There's plenty of rock out there, maybe just needs moved to more to the turn corners or whatever, but he's happy with what he's got. He was concerned about some other driveways. He said, well, you went and patched them and put rock down and stuff. I don't see a problem on most of them.
So, from my personal standpoint, because I was the one that indicated last week that, again, having a different picture in my mind as to what actually was there versus what I actually saw. I guess I'd say I've come full circle in terms of I don't see is that we need to do anything other than if the property owner asked to make that tongue, that approach, whatever you want to call it, that slope less and was willing to go into the driveway, I could see where we could maybe do something there to lessen that. But other than that, I don't see as we've done anything more than what could be done and not encroach upon that concrete driveway. That's my take from what I saw.
Well, it's in county right away, and he poured cement out clear to the road. And did he get a permit to do that when he did it or not?
Not that I could find.
Okay,
And if they had, in the notes on that, it indicates that if the county does any work, it may damage or alter their pavement. No.
I couldn't see where what we done damaged any of his cement. It's just age is what it is, the cement. It all looks the same clear back, so. My thoughts, if he wants it slope, put some asphalt on there, like you had first talked about. But I don't think it's that bad myself.
Well, and again, we didn't encroach on the driveway,
That's true.
so,
But still, that's county right away out there next to
Right.
the road, so.
and look, I understand there is a lip there. There's more so on one side than the other, but that has more to do with what's we're looking for, the rise of the change in the height of the surface.
And the geometry of the road.
Yeah, yeah. And, but again, part of that can be, like you said, either on the property owner's expense or whatever, but we did not encroach upon the driveway. And that is a completely diametrically opposed view of what I had before based on, and I don't think I don't want anybody to interpret that I believe that he was anything other than it was my interpretation of what he was saying, not what he said. That makes sense. So I don't know that we necessarily need to take any action on this, but if you want to take action, we certainly can in terms of to have it on the record, or we could just table it.
I see no need to take any action on it myself.
Susie?
I don't either.
Okay. So we'll just move on and meet with ambulance director.
Thanks,
Master
Dwayne.
Gardner himself.
Wish. I really don't have a lot to talk about.
Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm almost done with the yard work that I've been doing.
He grows, have you seen, he just put in a few rocks here just about a week and a half.
Yeah, I'm
ago,
growing rocks
and
like
they
a
are
champ.
Really,
There's a whole pile of them
Yeah.
now.
they're throughout the damn driveway now.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm almost done with that project. 52 should be back. Hopefully this week, end of this week, is what I was told. Oh, so that'll be good to have that back. And then once that's back, 53 needs to go in for an air conditioner issue. But I mean, otherwise, everything's running like it should, which the air conditioner thing may not be an issue right now anyway. So,
Well, I don't know, a lot of vehicles, the air conditioner compressor runs when you're running the defroster. So
yeah, could be.
I don't know if that's the case in
I'm not
this
sure
one,
about these.
but that's the brand new rig, right?
Mhm.
So that should be a warranty. rig.
Yeah. Yeah, and Fessler's has the parts. I think they have the parts in now. It went in and they got everything ordered, so now it's just getting a Ford certified mechanic in there to do that piece of it. So, but yeah, other than that, trucking along. I see the map here of the ambulance base. I don't know if that's on the agenda to discuss or not.
Well, I'm going to discuss it committee with post conversation,
Oh,
that
okay.
kind of stuff. So,
Okay.
So it's a matter of kind of explaining where I'm at this point so that everybody's,
Up to speed.
yeah, yeah. So,
So yeah, other than that, I don't really have anything. So
all right, anything for
questions
Josh?
for me?
Discuss and consider renewal of Class C retail alcohol license for This Old Barn Venue LLC. I believe that Sheriff Richmond had no issues. There's nothing to anybody else that I'm aware of. They couldn't wait till, we put this on late, not to, for any other reason than I think their other one was going to expire before we met again, so. I would make a motion to approve this permit.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Committee reports.
I'm on the Masden Barnes Committee and I've been working with Hooney going through the county, looking at barns, old barns,
Gonna move some
new
barns out there?
barns. Pardon me?
Gonna move some barns out there?
Christie, kick him. No, what it is, the Iowa Barn Foundation is coming down in October.
Oh.
They want to do a barn tour next spring in Jefferson County. And so we're going to drive them around to locations so they can decide
Oh,
and take
sweet.
photos of which barns they want to do,
Well,
which I think is kind of cool.
then if they go to this barn, that we just even have a beer.
It-
Says this barn. I'm just saying.
That's on Frankie Booth's old property, is that correct? Liz?
I would take your word for that. I honestly don't know.
Yeah. And then tonight we're having a Maston Barnes meeting. And I think
So when are they coming?
they're coming in October this year to drive around to look at the different barns that we'd like them to look at. They'll take photos of all these barns. They'll go back to the state. They'll figure out which ones they want to put in the tour.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know, I've had several workforce meetings dealing with whatever's really going to happen with workforce.
Which is kind of.
I can't cuss. Okay? We're not going to do that. But I have good news. We got some more opioid money over there. And I'm sure you know about this already.
No, I did not.
Yeah, we got about another 15,000. We're now up to, as soon as I can find it, $277,948 in the quarter,
Wow.
which will keep adding up.
Those quarters, I get the quarter jar.
We do need to get that jar back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what'd you do with it?
Huh?
What'd you do with it?
Abby has it hidden in her
Oh,
office.
okay. All right.
We should have cussed her here.
That's.
And it filled up pretty.
Yeah, I
I'd had to put money in it twice already.
You know, since Chris Essel hasn't been coming to our meetings, we wouldn't get as much cash.
Well, she donated, not
Yeah,
because,
you know,
not
she
because.
put it ahead of time.
Yeah, yeah.
I've done that before.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'm just gonna drop a 20 because I'm
It's
gonna
just
cuss a lot.
It's just good humor.
Yeah.
At any rate, today at 1, Elizabeth Essie and Connie Boyer and I are going to go look at somebody's going to give us a tour of the Jackson Street apartments.
Oh, okay.
Just to look.
Okay.
So,
I did send an email in that regard out to the board members of the Progressive Housing Corp. I have yet to hear back from anybody, which,
could have went to Spain.
but I got an email again from Iowa Finance Authority about non-compliance. And most of it has to do with that sidewalk. And I keep explaining to Iowa Finance Authority, we don't have any money.
Mhm.
We don't see any money. We don't know where the money goes.
Right.
So I'm at a point of throwing my hands up on this.
You know, in our defense, we didn't even know where the quarter guard is.
That's true. But the county doesn't have anything
No,
to do with
It
it.
doesn't.
But the Progressive Housing Corp doesn't see any revenue off of it either.
Mhm.
Assuming that there's a checking account, we have no idea what bank that checking
Yeah.
account is in. Anyway.
So next week or soon, I'll be able to report on what we see today.
We've got enough opioid money, we could pay off the loan and then First Resources to take it over.
You'd have to ask Elizabeth whether or not that
I
qualifies
see.
so we can spend
Okay.
money on it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm getting around to it. Had the barnyard bash meeting last Tuesday, getting ready for our barnyard bash out at the Mazda Barns. Then we had our road trip. Lee and I rode with Dwayne out there, and Susie drove out on her own to view the driveway. That's all I've got.
Well, I had my favorite meeting Monday afternoon.
And how'd that go?
It was actually pretty short. Ever since we don't have to do a roll call vote on every single action item, that shortens it by about 3 hours. But I mean, everything was really pretty straightforward. Again, kind of like your workforce development, they're a lot more definitive, I guess you'd say, as far as what direction they're going to go than maybe you guys are in terms of.
Yeah.
And as I've said before, the board of supervisors, the supervisors that sit on the board, well, for all intents and purposes, eliminated with possibly the exception of one.
Mhm.
So that changes the dynamic a little bit, but that won't take place till next July. I provided to you an image. And that is that's a proposed, and you'll see that it goes over quite a ways towards our ambulance base. Because if you look at the blue line that's on there, you can see that that's technically the property line, basically, of that Washington State Bank parcel. And so when I talked to Mike Grinder, he explained that First National Bank didn't realize that they had built over as far as they had onto the property lines, which Washington State Bank doesn't care. They have no need for that property. So I sent that off this morning via a fax to Mike, and that's obviously, if you're pardon the expression, not etched in stone. It's just a generalization because it'll have to be surveyed. I did speak with Jason Hall Friday, and I told him I'd get him an image so he had an idea. I did speak via email with Elizabeth. She's going to, because I did draw up basically a transfer agreement. Obviously, it's not a legal document, but I sent it to Elizabeth, giving the idea of what I wanted. Basically, it just needs to be, and she said we need to have a legal description of it. Be it known the Washington State Bank wishes to convey to Jefferson County, Iowa, a surveyed section of land from the parcel number that's on there, it's also on here, of Thomas Edition located at 1706 West Burlington Avenue, Fairfield, Iowa, to parcel number, which is the parcel number that our base is on. Thomas Edition located at 1900 West Burlington Avenue, Fairfield, Iowa, at no cost. In return, Jefferson County agrees to pay all costs associated with said conveyance, including but not limited to the survey, final plat, deed, abstract changes, and recording of the deed, survey, and final plat. So I sent that off to Elizabeth. She said that she would get the legal description of the properties and have that, and which I'm sure that she will. So that's where we're at. Oh, I think I told you already, but I'll let everybody else know again. I also spoke with Melanie Carlson. Jason is very familiar with what the city will require. So he will have that paperwork and stuff, all the stuff that needs to be filled out. So I'm just waiting basically now, and if I don't hear anything by the end of the day, I'll reach out to, because I didn't have Mr. Grinder's email, so I faxed it up to Washington State Bank and gave him my email and my phone number. So that's where we are at on that. Moving forward, at this point, Jason recommended that we flag the areas that we want surveyed, but till I get an approval from Michael Greiner at Washington State Bank, I don't really want to go out and put flags, so,
Are we gonna take this area all the way out to the road
we can't,
or, okay.
because that, well, what do you mean?
Well, but I mean, okay, so like further north, like you have it blocked off right there. I thought.
Oh, no, I wasn't intending to take that.
Oh, okay.
I mean, obviously, it's a conversation we can have, but I don't believe the city would allow us to go out and build a driveway out of it.
Well, no, and that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. Just
Yeah.
that
And if-
area
and
of
if-
grass
if-
there.
If Washington State Bank says, hey, why don't you take it out to the road, we certainly can make that
Okay.
adjustment.
You're just wanting to square it up,
Yeah.
correct?
But I see
It
what,
doesn't
I see
matter
what
to
you're
me. I
saying.
don't care,
Yeah.
but-
I thought you were talking about the other way, and I was saying, no, they, even though you can see, according to this from Beacon, they own this.
Mhm.
We have an easement, and so do they for this.
Right.
I don't know, we may want to come clear out there into that section. That's a conversation we gotta have.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to, in the way I understood it, he was under the impression that this all belonged to Walmart, to the old Walmart building.
Oh.
But it doesn't appear to be that way there. So I don't know. But we definitely want to get this section.
Yeah.
And we can move that out, and I can talk to him about that. I'm just trying to get, I mean, everybody's got a lot of things on their plate
Right.
these days, as well as he does. Just, you know, it's like, hurry up, wait.
Yes.
That's another 10 minutes worth of mowing if we go clear out to the street.
I know. Also, can I get rid of that evergreen?
Technically, I don't think so, because it's on their property. But if we went out to the road, it would be on our property, so we can have that conversation. I didn't want
It's
to
in pretty bad
encroach
shape.
on too much of the land, because I don't know how much control they want to continue to have.
Right, yeah.
So,
That's fair.
but that's where I'm at. Like I said, I don't think I had anything else that I can.
So I got a question, Lee. This yellow line you got drawn, is that your proposal to
Yes.
them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the way I put it in the facts that I set up. This is a proposed area, looking for your approval, your input, you know, whatever. Because if you see, the blue line goes over quite a ways, over into our actual entrance into,
Yeah, I see that.
so we have to incorporate all of that in there just simply because it's,
I would just push that whole blue line back toward them to the other side of that.
and we certainly can do that. And I'll have a conversation with Jason. Maybe I don't know if he's in the office. I might run out. I've got to do some stuff for my son today. But anyway, that's, you know, the area specifically that we wanted to make sure we had
Mhm.
control over.
Right.
Because that's what we'd have to do.
Right.
Anything that can all be adjusted, and I can certainly talk to them about it, have no problem in that regard. Because frankly, the cost of the survey isn't going to really change. You know, it's just, you're just extending the ends out. Probably need to verify whether or not they do all that section. Only because at some point in the future, we probably would have to do this,
Mhm.
so. Anyway, I think that's all I had that I can remember. Other than a doctor's appointment, and that was, I don't even know what day, Thursday, it was Thursday, so. Okay, public comments.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you want me to take a seat?
Yeah.
Sit?
Caesar. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I want to give you guys a little background and a little bit of information on Cambridge. So I appreciate the difficulty that you're all in, but wanted to kind of give you a little more perspective. So for those online, I'm Seth Miller, Jefferson County, born and raised. Currently one of 3 presidents out of Cambridge. I have a team of over 200 people. Out at Cambridge, we employ about 900 employees across the country, over 600 in Iowa. We have 249 employees that live alone in Jefferson County. We have a $21 million payroll in Jefferson County, right? So we have a lot of, influence, importance to this county, and we're probably the largest employer with the most traffic on any given day that comes to work. So this road disaster, as I think someone referenced it, it's certainly impactful to us and the safety of our employees. Not only the quality of the road, but we are bringing in people from all over the country almost every week, from New York to Los Angeles, Minnesota to Florida. We're trying to make a good impression on them. We already have to overcome the "you're from Iowa" stereotype, and a road is one more thing that they notice when they come here. We're competing with New York firms. We're competing with LA firms. And so when they come here, they want to make sure that we're sophisticated enough to be able to handle all their business and financial transactions across the country. Last week I had the staff from Senator Ernst's office in. In the past, we've had Senator Grassley, we've had Congressman Lobsek. So we do attract a lot of people to see what we're doing out there and help us continue to support our business. I appreciate your comments this morning. I haven't had the opportunity to meet you, Dwayne, but I did have some questions. I don't know if this is, question and answer or just comments, but you talked about trying to get this done this fall. I think it's, absolutely necessary to get this done this fall. That road is dangerous, even when it's smooth. Even with the blacktop, whether it was rain, snow, or ice, we have a lot of employees go in the ditch off that strip up there, especially when the wind's blowing. And so rutting and elements that cannot be removed from that road are certainly going to create a lot of problems this winter if we don't get it fixed. I would encourage you to get it done before daylight savings. That way the road, as bad as it is, I think it's better in the daytime where people can at least see. Daylight savings is November 2nd this year. I realize that that is a tight window, but we also know that we can start getting bad weather starting in November. I mean, we've had it snow here on Halloween in the last 3 to 5 years. So I would encourage you to try to get your repairs done by the 1st of November. I think my colleague Jeff of Aqua may have spoken a week or 2 ago about this chip seal. It doesn't seem very permanent. I know my experience with chip seals seems to degrade pretty quickly, but I'd like to know how long you expect the repair to last. And I don't know if anybody can comment on that or if I'm just supposed to talk right now.
Well, as a general rule, chip seals need to be evaluated every 3 years. A standard chip seal over pavement should last 7 to 10 before you need another application. As a example, Salina Road was chip sealed back in 2014. The chip seal part of the surface is still in decent shape. There's structural issues with Salina Road, but the chip seal is still doing what it's supposed to be doing. We anticipate the same kind of performance on Pleasant Plain Road. Actually should be better because it's more structurally sound pavement, so you're not fighting the issues of all the sub-base failure that we have on Salina Road. On schedule, the reason I came back in was I finally had the chance to speak with Barry Reinhardt from LL Pelling, they will be in the county to start working on 146 Tuesday after Labor Day, so tomorrow. And then they will stay in the county until everything's completed. So we should be done by this September.
Good, good.
Pardon me for
No, you're
interrupting
fine.
for just a second. Does that include lockage as well? Okay.
Yeah, so once they hit the ground on 146 and get their started on that, they'll have Norris get started on Lockridge, so they can all just from 146 to Lockridge and then over to Pleasant Plain Road. So so I wanted to share that with you. That's why I came back in. So very fortuitous.
Good. I guess as a matter of trying to work together, for some reason, we were surprised when the road work happened. We do have the ability to have our employees work remote in an emergency. So it's not something we want, for various reasons, it's more difficult to have people work remote. But if necessary, whether you have a contingency plan, I presume if it rains again, I don't know if they have the ability to lay or if this, repair is going to have the same issue with rain or bad weather. But I think as long as we're communicating, like, a week or 2 weeks ahead of time, and we know the schedule, we know what the plan is, so we can inform our employees. I can't call them the night before and tell them to stay home. So I think we would appreciate more communication throughout this process, and we can try to help you out so that it goes better. The other question is, I presume after it's sealed again, you will get the lines painted again on the road?
Yes.
Okay. The other thought that I've had over the years, because I've been back 17 and a half years now working at Cambridge, so I've driven that road a lot. It is dangerous in the winter. I don't know if you guys have ever thought about some type of snow fencing or a windrow in your right of way, because that flat spot up there, that's typically where all the ice and snow blow over and become black ice. It seems to me if you had a windrow there or some type of snow fencing, it may eliminate a lot of that problem. I know you don't like the calls from us to come out and clean the road, but a lot of times we are trying to get somebody out there. Even, when it's on the schedule, morning and afternoon, a lot of times aren't enough with the amount of traffic that we have. So I'd like you to consider either semi-permanent or maybe some type of vegetative windbreak along that right of way up there. And, I guess, Lee, you mentioned it this morning, I would encourage you to figure out a more permanent repair, and whether that's blacktopping or whatever in the near future. I thought the blacktop did a good job. I don't know when it was done, if that's been 8 years ago.
2011, when I was on the board the first times when we did that.
Okay, and I thought that turned out excellent. I realize that's expensive. And I know everybody, is always challenged with funding. But it seems to me that did a great job. It lasted a long time. I think it's 10 times better than what we have right now. And I'm worried that even with the repairs that you're going to make, it's still not even going to be as good as what we had. And that's frustrating. So I don't want to rehash it, but it is something that I encourage you to do. Again, I guess I didn't say, I'm also general counsel and I'm head of our advocacy department. That's why I meet with the senators, with the congressmen. Happy to talk to the state representatives. If you guys need help with stuff, let us know. We do get attention with as big as we are and the influence we have in the state. So we'd be happy to join you or try to give you our little bit of, prominence with some of these more higher elected officials that may have bigger budgets than you. And then the last thing, and I'd be happy to answer any question, I don't want people to take Cambridge for granted. I grew up here. You guys have been here a long time. We've seen what happens when good companies decide that they don't want to be in Jefferson County anymore. As my role, I want to make sure Cambridge stays here, for the next 40 years, like we have for 40 years today. So let's do everything that we can so that people don't start questioning, why are we in Jefferson County? All right, there's a lot of big cities, there's a lot of other areas that'd be happy to find money to try to entice a business like ours away. I'm not saying that as a threat, because we're not considering that, but let's not, have issues like this come up and be like, boy, here we go again. We want to feel valued in the county. Hopefully you guys do value us, and we want to be a good partner. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Well, I'd like to take advantage of your connections,
Sure.
for lack of a better way of putting that.
Mhm.
Because when Jeff and I had a conversation a couple of weeks ago, and I know we understood, our general road budget from property tax is about 5 million, round figures roughly.
Mhm.
And that covers wages, fuel, sand, salt, contract rock that's not farm to market roads, equipment maintenance. We do some dust proofing out of that. We do some calcium chloride applications, or used to anyway. I don't know if our tank still works or not, but during the winter time on some roads and bridges more specific. Things of that nature. We do some culvert work. We do tank car work. Our road crews do a lot where we can replace bridges with tank cars. Our road crews do the work. But my point is that, so these major road projects like the Libertyville Road that's coming up is a $4.9 million project, round figures. That money comes from feds, from the state. And it takes a long time for us to accumulate the Surface Transportation Project funds to federal dollars. It takes a long time to accumulate any money to apply to the project. And so where I'm going with this is any grant funding that we can get, and we did apply for grant funding for road surface, and the grant funding was approved. We used grant money for the Libertyville Bridge. But that money's never been, even though the grant was approved, it's never been funded. So if there's any tail that you could tweak that would bring infrastructure money into this county,
Mhm.
and I'm going to take this opportunity to do this, that I've hammered on everybody else, something that I have long pushed for the legislature to look at is a redistribution of the road use funds, the gas tax, a reallocation. Let me explain really quick. So a lot of it is based on population. And so the largest urban areas get the largest chunk of the pie, whether it's Polk County, Scott County, Black Hawk, whatever. I have asked for years and years and years, whoever was Senate Majority Leader, whoever was governor, all of our legislators, if they would take the first $99 million of all of the road money, no new tax money, and give us $1 million a year specifically for infrastructure, that would allow us to go out and bond, not raise a debt levy, so there'd be no tax increase, especially in rural Iowa. So the Davis counties, the Jefferson counties, Van Buren counties, all of those, we could go bond for 10, 15, $20 million, pay off in 20 years, not raise taxes. There'd be so much work that needs to be done, so many jobs that would be created, so much new equipment that would have to be purchased. And you wouldn't have to raise taxes one dime. All you change is the allocation formula.
Mhm.
Now, obviously, your urban areas are going to raise cane. They have the largest volume of representation at the state house because they've got the most districts. But anybody's ear that you could put a bug in, and if you can help us access funding, whether it's through grants or whatever, this project that we're talking about, if we were to do it, I'm guessing, and Dwayne can correct me on this, if we did a 3-inch overlay, which is what I believe we did in 2011, that's probably going to push 4 million.
Yeah.
And just for that stretch that we're talking about.
Mhm.
And originally in 2011, that was about $1 million.
Hmm.
Most of that was federal money. We had a 20% match. I can't honestly tell you, I can't remember whether we used farm to market for match on that road or not. Okay.
That's the standard practice.
Okay. That's how we ended up with the guardrails where we've got the guardrails because it was federal money and they required.
Mhm.
So what I'm just expressing is that I agree with you 150% on all of the points that you made. The importance of Cambridge being here. And I don't want you to leave because after the meeting, I've got some other project I'd like you to get involved in. But we need that kind of help. And
Good.
I'm not apologetic to ask for it. You know, if we can get some funds, because you can exercise some influence
Sure.
where we can,
Mhm.
I'll take it.
Yeah,
You
okay,
know,
yeah,
that's, you know, he does a great job in the funding that he gets, which is extremely limited. I know that as Cambridge, you're one of the highest tax-paying entities in the county, Heartland Co-op. But our property taxpayers in general feel a heavy burden here because we don't have a lot of commercial entities and
yeah,
stuff.
I agree.
And so to raise their taxes, the state's not gonna let us do it anymore anyway, but to raise their taxes, we couldn't raise it enough to find $5 million to do that road. To be
Yeah.
perfectly honest.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason that we use the process that we used was to maintain the structural integrity of the road while at the same time trying to do it within the budget constraints that we have.
Sure.
And I know we've had this conversation with Jeff, but I certainly will take any help you can manufacture.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I guess as you consider different options and opportunities, I'll start adding it to my priorities when I talk to our elected officials as well.
I appreciate that. I really
Yeah,
do.
absolutely.
Thank you. Anything, you know, we got a quarter jar, so it's not in here yet, but that's because we haven't been able to get any quarters to play, but, you know,
Understood. Any other questions?
Seth, thanks for coming.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate, and this is the news media, by the way.
Okay. Howdy. Howdy. All right, I'll hang around.
Okay, yeah, it'll just take a minute or two.
Okay, thanks.
Any other public comments? Hearing none. Motion to allow claims and approve reports in the amount of
$167,954.24.
is that a motion?
Yes.
Okay,
Second.
discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion to adjourn.
Nobody.
Second.
All in favor?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Aye. Okay.